Hello, everybody. Welcome to Open Mics, episode 4.
Yeah,
we're cruising through this. Today we have another very special guest. His name is Jay Jones. Jay, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you ended up in mics, a little bit of your history.
Sure. So I am 20 plus years into my IT career professionally, and I'll qualify that because I was really fortunate that my parents were both in the education field, in the K-12 education space. So my dad would go in as an elementary principal when I was in, first, second, third grade, those kinds of things. And that was when the kindergarten through fifth grade had a computer in the building. And so he'd be doing all of his stuff, and I would be tinkering around on Tandy 1000 or, like the old, 1985s. So I started there and decided this is what I wanted to make my career. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. Yeah. The decision to decide to, move from my infrastructure side of things, which is I'm a server guy and a user experience guy, and really focus on the cybersecurity aspect of things, is that I see that's the future of our entire industry. I've been able to, I think, been pretty fortunate to, maybe see a little bit ahead of where things are at currently. I was able to jump on the Citrix bandwagon before Citrix was a monster thing, and, virtual workspaces. I was kind of first there when it came to cloud computing, and I see this is the next thing that is going to be our industry. So decided, it's time for a master's. Talked to my very beautiful wife and said, this is what I'm thinking. And she's like, yeah, you should absolutely do it. So a little bit of research into what do I want it to be. So I bring up my I'm 20 years in, so I don't want to be a pen tester. I don't want to be a server jockey kind of thing. I want to be that strategic person. And going through and trying to find the right program, it was Berkeley's for me. It's a lot of technical stuff, but it's also all of the strategic piece and the user experience. And it's not just, like breaking apart, Jason, you and I with cryptography, and it's not how do we, snip on the wire better. This is really about the users and how do we protect them, the companies, how do we protect them, offensively, defensively, those kinds of things. That's exactly what I wanted. So fortunately, they accepted me. And so I would like to think, I'm not 100% on this, but I'd like to think that I am the first mic student in the Milwaukee area, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So I'll represent Milwaukee and Wisconsin as a whole for the mics. But that's kind of why I decided to really jump into this, and why it was UC Berkeley as my chosen professional experience, and trying to get that next level of ability. That's kind of why I chose and where I'm at now. That's a little bit of me.
One of the things that I'd be curious to hear your opinion on, since you're an infrastructure guy, and so far for me, I've mostly been in infrastructure too. I feel like us infrastructure people try to solve software security problems with infrastructure, right? It's like, oh, if the code's weak, we'll just, make sure our WAF signatures are upgraded or whatever. And it's like you tend to lean on that a little bit as a crutch, but you obviously don't really want to do that, right? It should be fixed at every layer. So I'd be curious to hear like how that has impacted your perspective.
So, I will take the analogy of, if all you have is a hammer, everything's a nail. So as a non-developer and software security engineer, if I can, segment off applications and those kinds of things, that's my hammer. So I will probably continue to think that way, because that's the thing that I have control over, that I can make something more secure. That said, what what I'm taking forward when it comes to the software security piece is being completely on the ball when it comes to updates.
Nice. You know, Jay, you had talked about we're all learning so that we can become better, more manicured for our future roles, but you do come with a lot of experience now. I'd love to double click on maybe two areas. Solutions architect, what is that? And then also MSP, what is that? And if someone wants to be a part of being a solutions architect or work at an MSP, how would they do it? How would they be successful?
Sure. Well, we'll start with what is an MSP.
Yeah.
So let's start with that. So managed service provider, and you now are starting to see MSSPs, managed security service providers. And I would say, if you think about like that consulting field, right?
Yeah.
When people typically think of consultants, they think either projects or, man, it's a really expensive person that is going to come in and be a retainer.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing right in the middle of those things. So a managed service provider, a managed security service provider is an outsourced IT or security company. So the best way that I could say is if you have a company that's making shampoo bottles and you pump out shampoo bottles, man, that's great. But you don't have enough IT to require a person or for sure a department. But you still have all of these IT needs. You still have payroll. You still have, job costing and supply chain and all of the IT things that you still need to run your business.
Right.
So how do you do that? Well, do you have do you find somebody that's coming out of their undergrad? Do you find somebody that, that you can pay? Again, I'll go back into the Sheboygan because it's fun to say Sheboygan.
Yeah.
If you've got your company in Sheboygan, what is going to be the person that you're going to find? And that if you do find that person is going to want to go on vacation. They're wanting to go in and have some, sleep. And if the company down the road offers them a 40% raise, would they go? Well, probably most everybody would. And now you start all over again. So for a managed service provider, you're the IT company for all of these businesses. So now you're the IT staff. So you're getting all the reports in. You're the one who's responsible for maintaining their servers, their software, all of those kinds of things. And now you've got a department. So if you're the managed service provider or security service provider, now you're taking on their IT role. So now you have a staff. So if you have one person that leaves, you still have a staff. You still retain all of that knowledge. So that's what a managed service provider is. The ones that I've seen the most successful have what's called a monthly reoccurring. So every month that company is going to spend $7,000 or $5,000, whatever the right fit is, and now they can call help desk whenever. Like it's truly their IT department is just not sitting in that building.
I see.
As far as a solutions architect, you get to actually build all this stuff and then hand it off to somebody else to manage it. It's great. You get all of the fun stuff, and when you get done playing, you write up how to deal with it, how to manage it and maintain it, and you get to throw it over the fence. So tongue-in-cheek aside, what it's really doing is taking the business requirements. What is the business need? And then matching it to a technology solution. Yeah. So if this business is saying, I want to grow by acquisition. Okay, what is the right systems in place so that when they go and buy another company that you can easily integrate them? If you've got a different company that says, you know what, I want to expand my offerings. I want to have 5 new products in the next 2 years. Okay, what does that look like? What does that need to be? Is it engineering? Are you going to have engineers that are going to be working on stuff? Oh, well, you're going to need high-end computing. Does that need to take place on-prem? Does it? All of the business things that are going on for that company, you have to find the right technology solutions to make that happen.
Well, I think we're about to wrap up, but we always finish with an interesting question. We'd like to know what you're passionate about. Either.
I am passionate about user experience. I think about the user experience first and foremost. What is that going to look like? Multi-factor authentication. What is the actuality of that? One-time password. What is the actuality of that? Long passwords, no passwords. What is that user going to experience? And is that the 18-year-old user? Is it the 28-year-old user? Is it the 68-year-old user? What does that look like for users? So my passion is about user experience, and that flows through adoption and actual implementation of things.
Yeah.
From a personal standpoint, I'm passionate about increasing safety, all told. And I think that, from a social aspect of things, from a compute aspect kind of things, from a next generation, from a global security space, from climate change, safety.
Wow. Well, I can't think of a better place to stop, Jay.
I welcome being invited back. Thank you guys so much for inviting me.
Yeah.
I've loved our time together here today.
Cool. Always a pleasure, Jay.
Thank you, Jay.